When Ian first arrived at Southern Boating, I told him I was going to the West Coast for the weekend. And he goes, "You're going to California?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm going to Tampa for the weekend." He's like, "It's not the West Coast." I was like, "Yes, it is."
I think everyone outside of Florida agrees with me.
No.
Thank you, guys. Show your support. Leave a comment. Is the West Coast of Florida considered the West Coast, or is the West Coast of the country considered West Coast? Let us know what you think.
Absolutely.
If you're Team James or Team Ian. Welcome to another episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And today we're going to be talking to you about our July issue and specifically a featured article where we focus on American boat builders. Now, there were some criteria to which companies are put in. One of them being how many pages we can actually print, right? So we have an ever-growing list digitally, and we'll have that link in the description. But before we get started, remember, subscribe to the channel and leave us a comment who your favorite American boat builder is, and we can see if they're in the article itself, or we can then add them to the ever-growing list on our website. Now, with that, James, let's kick it off.
I just got to start with, of all of the issues that we've done so far, I really love this cover.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. It's a very patriotic cover. The colors in it are just outstanding. I thought that this cover is one of our better covers of this year so far.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. Let's get into the merit of Made in America, right?
Right.
Made in America is something that we used to pride ourselves about being made in America.
Yeah.
And making our products in America. And I think in different times, it was much easier to do so.
It's funny. The second you said that, I had a flash of Back to the Future. Was I think the third one where he's like, "Oh, well, obviously this is why it's not working. It's not even made in America, or it's made in Japan, or whatever." Right now that you said that.
Exactly. I mean, we go right back to that, right?
Right. It really is.
Now, when we talk about it today, when you think of Made in America, the first thing that comes to my mind is companies that are still being made and produced here in America.
Yeah.
They pay a premium to make their products here, right? So I have to applaud everybody that says, listen, I'm still going to keep my product assembled or made or produced here in America.
I look at it two ways, right? The first one is entry into this list was you have to be manufactured and assembled in the U.S.
Correct.
Because we do have American companies that might manufacture somewhere else but assemble here, or vice versa. But really, I look at it from a business standpoint of logistics. Right? Maybe there's a designer that they have a preference. Like there's things that happen behind the scenes that we really don't know about. To your point, to make that effort to find a way to keep it here in the States is really admirable.
Absolutely. And that's my big thing with it. So companies that still produce products here in America, build and assemble the products here in America, we wanted to applaud them. And this feature does do that. Right. Now, the unfortunate part is this is print, so I don't have the endless ability to put every last person in here. Right. Because surprisingly, as we started upon this mission, we found out that in our industry, there are a lot of manufacturers still producing their product here in America, which is excellent. I love it.
Awesome.
For those that we couldn't cover online, we're going to continue this, and we'll be listing in a list all of the ones that we know of that are still being built here in America.
That's right.
And anybody that wants to be on this list that does qualify, write to us, please. We would want to make sure that you're included on this list.
Absolutely.
We don't want to exclude you. It's just a manner of...
Now,
it's quite a bit of a task to do such a thing.
Now, the way we went about this article was not so much talking about the boats themselves that the manufacturers build.
Correct.
We talk about the manufacturers themselves. So when you pick up this issue and you start reading this article, what you're going to learn about is the history of all the different companies, right? And so there's a few points that I really liked. Some companies, they talk about the amount that they give back. Like some of them give millions of dollars to conservation organizations, right? To various conservation organizations. It's not just one where it's like, oh, well, I know a guy there. They're legitimately giving back to help our environment improve or be healthier so that we can continue to enjoy the water the way we do, right? So I thought that was admirable, that it's not just what you're learning is not just who the company is, but you're learning about what they do even up to this day.
Absolutely. The people that founded these companies, the mission that they went on, where they came from. It was really interesting as I read through this article, and several times over now, each time that I've read it over and over and over again, I'm still taking something away from it. And it was very interesting. And it was more like a history lesson of our industry, more so than anything for me.
Right.
From reading and learning all of these things, it's very interesting to see some of the history of these companies and how they came about. And then not only that, but reading some of the same names as you read through some of these, like one name will keep popping up.
Yes.
Or you see it a couple of times, right? But also knowing what some of these companies are doing that we didn't know before.
Right.
Right? Like their philanthropic, their philanthropy.
Their philanthropic efforts. Let's run with that one.
So learning a little bit about that was very interesting. Learning about how they started and what they've now become is very interesting. You know, they started off by building one product and they end up building something
like the paddleboard one. They used to make oars, and they're over 100 years old because they started in the 20s.
Exactly right.
So we have a huge history just in that right there. There's companies where they talk about being family owned and how they started family owned and are still family owned. There's even a company that's mentioned that the original founders, even though it was founded, I think, in the 80s, are still leading the company. And I just think that's incredible because a lot of times when people build companies, you know, if you look at the modern state of business, people are like, build a company so that you have an exit strategy.
Right.
Right. And where
it's not so with
that's
some
not
of
the
these.
case with these. They're doing it because they love boating and they love boaters. They love you, the people that watch this, the people that read these magazines. And so they build specifically to serve you. Like, I think that's incredible. And it really speaks to, I think, the American spirit of how we go about doing things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So going through it again, it's just a matter of really, it's a learning lesson for most of us.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably one of my favorite projects since I've been at Southern Boating so far over the years, because I probably walked away learning more out of this article than I have in the past with others.
Yes, I could see that.
And it was just, it was really enjoyable to learn a lot of these things and also see the history of boat building through it. There's a lot into it.
It's a really interesting read if you haven't read it. Now, the great thing is not only can you get it on your digital version, but we're putting this online. So
correct. We're going to rush this one to being online.
Right.
So usually faster than we do with other articles.
Right.
And it's mainly because we can only fit so many here in print.
Yes.
And we feel that it's responsible of us to put as many as we can
online.
Because really, I mean, what about the consumer that says, I want to buy American, so I need to know who is American.
Right.
So this will be a good resource for that person.
Yeah. Now, when James says that we're going to rush to put this online, it's already online. Like, as of the time of this recording, it's already online.
It's already online.
We're really rushing to put it online because it's already been done. Like, that's how much we rush to put it online.
Ian's great at his job. He's already got it up and running.
I had help this time around. I 100% had help.
It's great. I highly recommend giving this a read. It's one of my favorite articles of my time here. It was very informative. I'm obviously very patriotic of American products. I've lived in the Midwest. I've lived here on the East Coast.
Have you ever lived on the West Coast?
No.
See, I've lived on the East Coast. I've lived in the Midwest. I've lived in like the mountain ranges, and I've lived on the West Coast.
I forget
I've lived
you've
across
lived in the,
the
same
country.
city as me in the Midwest.
I've lived across the continental U.S., buddy.
Well, that's good.
Booyah. I know. I just realized that as you were talking, I was like, oh, wait a second.
You lived everywhere.
I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, the only place I haven't lived is on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah, that's not what it's called, but okay.
Yeah, no, because we have a West Coast in
we
Florida.
have a Pacific Northwest, and then we have the West Coast, and then we have the Gulf Coast of Florida. That's from a Californian.
Which
former Californian.
Floridians call it the West Coast.
Yeah, I know. Floridians call it the West Coast. All right.
A quick story. When Ian first arrived at Southern Boating, I told him I was going to the West Coast for the weekend. And he goes, "You're going to California?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm going to Tampa for the weekend." He's like, "It's not the West Coast." I was like, "Yes, it is."
I think everyone outside of Florida agrees with me. So
No.
Thank you guys. Show your support. Leave a comment. Is the West Coast of Florida considered the West Coast, or is the West Coast of the country considered West Coast? Let us know what you think.
Absolutely.
If you're Team James or Team Ian, okay? In the comments.
Also, if you read this article and you want to help us with updating the list of American builders, please leave it in the comments. We will do our research, make sure that they actually can be part of the list, and get it updated for you as soon as possible.
That's right.
And we appreciate the help. So
And the link to the article will be in the description. You could just scroll down. You'll see it. It'll be there. I promise.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm James Anderson,
I'm Ian Sneed.
and please make sure to check us back for next shot.
The only thing I'm full of, James, is inspiration. You want to just
Perfect.
kick it off?
You want me to kick off?
No.
You wanna
Like
go?
you want to?
You haven't
wanna get
done
going?
any of your other steps that you're supposed to
Oh,
do.
Okay. Sound sync. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Sync.
You
Ready?
clap like a girl. That's a golf clap.
You would know.
Clap like a man.
No, that's still. I don't know. Go.
That's like a
That's
girl,
not any different than what I just did.
too. I know. I was
It's
just
the
trying to.
same thing.
I was just like giving you a hard time.
Okay, ready?
Sure.